Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast, where we interview experts in driver recruiting. We provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to help you level up your recruiting game.
Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast. I'm your host, Ginger Craddock. And on today's episode, it's a story of redemption, reinvention, and revolution. Our guest is none other than our founder of the Hire Truckers Podcast and the Hire Truckers platform. Welcome, Aaron Craddock.
Thanks for having me.
This is unusual. You're normally in the host seat, and now I have the opportunity to interview you. So thank you so much for letting us flip the script on you today.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Excellent. So let's start where your talk began, with failure. Like, that's not usually where we begin a success talk. You said that losing your job, your health, and your direction became the foundation of everything that you've built since then. So, Aaron, can you break that down for us and help us see how you found that breakthrough?
Yeah, so it all starts with a story. So back in May 2019, as many people have had happen, I got laid off. And so that day kind of started out with, I was actually working from home and my boss called me into the office, which was a little unusual because he was out of state and he was rarely in the office. So I went in and again, everything was off, like as far as where my team was and what was going on. And and so when I got summoned to his office, which was kind of ironic, it was only the one time I had accepted that new role. And then this day were the only two times I'd been in that office. And so I go in his office and HR is in there wiping down desks. It was kind of odd, but I kind of knew what was going to happen. And so, they explained that they had to cut a certain amount of salaries and my job was one of those being cut. And so then I went down by the river in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and had a Route 44 Diet Cherry Limeade. I remember it. One of my favorite drinks. And so I was sitting by the river and I was thinking about, okay, well, I have to take action. And so I was like, I've always wanted to do my own business, start my own thing. And so why don't I go to the startup incubator they had in town? And so they had just built this multi-million-dollar facility geared towards helping startups. I'd been there a couple times. And so I went in that afternoon after getting laid off. I was like, hey, can I start on my company here tomorrow at 8 a.m.? And she's like, well, do you have an LLC? Do you have a plan? It's like, I have the LLC. I kind of have a plan. It's only been an hour, but I had, the initial vision of like how I thought we could add something to the driver recruitment technology space and create a unique offering. And so, and then I was like, the only other thing that's going to happen is my wife's going to be like, do we have to sell our house? It's like, that's going to be her first question probably. And so, when I got home, Lauren said like, hey, are we going to have to sell the house? I was like, I don't know, but I would like to go work on my own business and give it at least 2 years all in. And so she's been my biggest advocate, biggest fan since the very beginning of just building out something. And so, I just saw an opportunity and a gap in the market. And that's where Trucking Clicks came from. That's where when we bought hiretruckers.com and built that out and that platform, that's where all that came from. The genesis of all that was 6.5 years ago, sitting down by the river in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And then to recap where I was back then, I was also about 100 pounds overweight. And so, it was, the beginning of the end, of my kind of rock bottom, struggling with different like alcoholism, different things and my weight. And, and then I just knew building this company, I would have to have a different identity and become a different person. And so it's really the last 6.5 years have been just multiple versions of me becoming a different person and defining my why.
And so what captured me right there in the beginning is you said you were summoned to the office 2 different times by your boss. One to get the promotion and the role you were in, and then later the second time to be laid off. And so I've been laid off. It's traumatic. It's difficult. We're seeing in our industry right now many people in different roles. They are performing well. They're excellent at what they do. But just in today's environment, we're seeing many people lose their jobs, need to make transitions. And so when you think about the weight, the emotional weight of that, I hear some of the other challenges that you were navigating that you just shared with us. So, am I correct in hearing that struggle and that really difficult season really opened the door for breakthrough for you?
I mean, I guess if you're low, it's more of a breakthrough. So I don't know if the low unlocked the breakthrough. I think the vision and the why and everything tied to the impact and not just myself. Like I think more of a focus on others. I think that unlocked the breakthrough, not necessarily the hard times.
So, what helped you push through that hard time when I will describe it as a wall, when you hit that wall of being laid off? What helped you push through to the vision that we now see?
I think the genesis of all of it is right after I got laid off, was like, okay, hey, I want to build X size company, like with a revenue target and goal. And then I met with several mentors and all of them just kind of challenged me in. They're like, hey, why do you want to do this? And I was like, because I've never done it before. I want to build this big company. And they were like, no, like if you don't have a compelling why, you'll give up and you'll quit. And I didn't necessarily believe them, like that first person I met with. And then I met with someone else that same week. And they said the same thing, like, what's your why, Aaron? Like, hey, I'm here to support you. What's your why? And then a third person within that same week that had all had successful careers and built things. And yeah, so they all challenged me, what is your why? And so honestly, the only reason I've had all the identity shifts and breakthroughs, I had to be a different person to build the vision I had for this company. And I still have to be a different person going forward to build the vision for this company. We just keep suiting up and showing up and figuring it out. And that's just but because of the vision, like both Ginger and I believe we can impact a lot of people with this business and with other things we're working on. And so, yeah, for me, the biggest thing has been the compelling why. And then, working through alcoholism, addiction, getting sober, that whole process, and then, losing all the weight and developing new disciplines and habits. That's been, tied to my faith. I think God, freeing me from addiction, and then also tied to just other people. Like, I mean, a ton of people helping me along the way. And then continually, like if I want to continue to grow in a specific area, I just get around those people that are crushing it in that area. And that's just something, yeah, I've really made a focus on really when I started the business. And then it's just accelerated the 3.5 years we've been in Austin, Texas. Just, yeah, being able to get around just people that challenge me and inspire me. And that's part of what I hope I can do today is and challenge and inspire the audience to think about their why.
And so, Aaron, what is your why? You've talked all around it. What is your why?
Yeah, it's kind of complex. And so back again 6 years ago when I was working through this, I just put on a whiteboard. I was like, what could all the whys be? And so financial freedom, hitting a certain number financially, and then, time freedom of, to not have to answer to anybody as a boss, like to spend time with my family, like to make a global impact and help people. It's kind of a bunch of different things. But back 6 years ago when I wrote out the vision for then Craddock Holdings and Truck and Clicks, it's kind of evolved. It was Craddock Holdings back then turned into Truck and Clicks, then turned into HireTruckers.com as we launched the different businesses and things. And so back then it was time freedom, like to spend time with my wife and family and future kids. That was one of my goals, which back then I had no kids. Now I have 3. And then to provide amazing careers for people. And so why do I build teams and build businesses? Just to help people accomplish their vision and their goals and align with their purpose. And that because that was one of the most satisfying things, like in my role before I started this, was like building a large team and developing all those people and helping them hit their goals and reach their dream, whether it was at our company or at another company. So I kind of have that same philosophy today. And so the more we can grow, the more we can help just other people reach their vision and goal and kind of expand the overall vision and mission to help. Yeah. So it ended up being rooted in, yes, time freedom to spend time with my family, to travel, to do cool things and have freedom of schedule, which is kind of a misnomer, because like when you run your own businesses, there can always be demand. Like even when you have a good team and take time off, it's kind of an always thing, not an 8 to 5. And now there are people and systems that have helped a lot with that and different seasons of the business. But then also, yeah, just rooted in helping people. So time freedom, and then helping people on the team reach their goals and helping our clients reach their goals. Just how can we, impact, hundreds of people like on the team and clients, and then how can we impact millions of drivers in terms of their experience and how they come on with fleets.
So, Aaron, what I'm hearing in your story is you went from being more self-focused to being other-focused, whether it's family, whether it's the clients you serve, the vision for the type of business that is going to best help drivers, that's going to best help fleets. And so we're going to pivot to that vision that you had about smarter driver recruiting. You had over a decade of experience in the industry when that day came and you were laid off and you began to think about what your vision was for trucking, how to make it better, what you had learned in that first decade of your career. So when you think about that, you not only went all in and invested in a new business, but you invested over $100 million to get rolling in technology and products and services. And so there's a reason your wife said, do we get to keep our house? And you're like, yeah, we get to keep our house, but we're going all in. Here's what we're doing. So walk us through what that financial investment, what that technology investment look like in building your companies.
Yeah, and so the hundreds of millions of dollars really comes in just our experience, like with ad spend over the years. So just more our team's experience. As far as personally, yeah, just invested several million in this business. But yeah, the investment, I think the first couple of years we didn't make any money, and so being on just having my wife's teacher salary, so it very much was, do we have to sell the house every single month? Like, I don't know. And yeah, and there have been different seasons. Like we've grown every year since we started, but even in that, there have been different seasons where we've hired a lot and money has been tighter, and yeah, it's just difficult. It's difficult to build a technology company and bootstrap it, and then be adding mouths to feed along the way with our different kids and building the team. So yeah, it's been a real challenge, but God's provided every step of the way, and that's kind of, yeah, just how we live our life. Like I got asked the question, like, what's enough? Like in a peer group of mine I was meeting with that build businesses, and somebody might say 50 million or 100 million or 2 million or whatever the number is, and it was always higher. And for me, really, the place I've gotten in the last few years, as I've been focused more on other people and not myself, which is a constant work in progress, is what I have today is enough. And so just in whatever season, in the good and the bad, like it's just what God has for me in this season. And I'm going to steward, like whether it is a lot or is a little, I'm just going to steward that the best I can to help people. Like as I tell, it's as simple as like, as I tell our 5-year-old, 2-year-old, and I'm already talking with our 7-month-old about, is just love God, love people. And so that's kind of what I hope people see when they interact with our brands, is something as simple as just caring for people. So, yeah. So, yeah, anyway, that was a long answer kind of to your, yeah, financially. Yeah, it's been super hard, way harder than I thought. And also I wouldn't trade it. Honestly, this whole growth journey, and we're still in the middle of it, or really still at the beginning of it, like with what my vision is. We're still at the really early stage in terms of growth and trajectory and what I see.
And Aaron, it's remarkable, your story, just for people who are inside of trucking and just for context for those who are outside of trucking, to bootstrap a technology company, to build the verticals in trucking and go to market and make a profit year over year in what has been one of the largest, longest, most difficult seasons in trucking is really a credit to you and your understanding of the vision and the industry and how you really did address some pain points that translated in the market and resonated with the serving people and that part of the priority of your vision. So really great job to you. And I also hear the intersection of your faith and just how those two things come together. So when we're talking about driver recruitment, one of the things you went to market with, the market was really talking about volume. And because of this shift in focus and looking at the individual and looking at the market, you began to talk about value. So you said there was a big shift happening. Tell us a bit about your vision for value over volume.
Yeah, so in my previous role, we like in my W-2, we acquired different job sites. We built different job sites and invested in a lot of different technology, and then I just studied the different, like how the different technology partners job sites work, and then looked at what works best on the fleet side, and what we really wanted to provide is quality leads at scale. And so that was really our first focus 6.5 years ago, like with Craddock Holdings, and then when we added Trucking Clicks, was just quality leads at scale. And that still is a core tenet of everything we do. And it's become more of an industry norm over the last 6 years or so. And so that's, rather than 100 leads on average to get one driver in the door, like what if we can make it 30? And, just a methodology, vision out of the gate, not to focus on multi-carrier leads or match leads, but to focus more on the direct intent applies, focused on individual carriers and then helping carriers build their brands and build their presence. So just, yeah, really a fully comprehensive approach to driver recruiting. And then what it's evolved into is, hiretruckers.com and building that platform out to where we can still maintain the leads per hire. And so again, like if they were getting 100, our goal is like 30 or less leads per hire. And so, yeah, we've been able to do that at scale. And that was the whole thing, the scale thing. Like there are some providers in the place that can provide quality, and you might get, a $200 hire, but can you get scale? Like, can we efficiently help fleets reduce their overall advertising costs significantly, and also recruiter time, because the recruiter not having to work 100 leads, and then just all the new AI things we've been working on, and then automation, just continues to add fuel to the fire. And I think it's accelerated just what everyone can do, and just with all of the new AI tools and technology. And so, I mean, we were early in the AI game and integrating it back into our job sites back in the day, early for the trucking industry, and then, yeah, it's just amazing. I really look forward to, even in 2026, as we're planning like what all we're going to be able to build from a technology perspective, because the development is way easier now at less cost. Like AI is driving development costs down significantly. And so how can we, continue to maximize our value to our fleet partners? That's first and foremost, like for our current fleets. And then with new fleets we continue to partner with going into 2026.
And it's been exciting to have a front row seat to hear your vision and then see it become a reality. And you were talking about quality at scale when others were not. And to your point, everybody's got, many people have a version of that now, but how everything that you and the team continue to build is around those efficiencies, around those better experiences for drivers and fleets. And this market has helped to drive that because we've seen fleets reduce the number of recruiters, but yet they have to meet some similar numbers and seat the drivers. Another thing that we talk about in the industry is the importance of retention. And I remember when you laid this vision out, Aaron, that we had a vision of attracting the right drivers to the right fleets, and that would promote and extend retention. And that was a theory. We thought that it would do that, but it has been really exciting to have fleets come back to us and say, not only are we working fewer leads to get the hire, but the hires are staying longer. And so it was exciting to see that. Now, we all know that in retention, there are multiple layers. And so this is the quality of the fleet combined with the quality of the lead, the quality of the experience. And again, it's rooted in that people first perspective, the other person perspective, and how to make their experience as good as possible. And so we see fleets that are reflecting that care for their people and their team too. And so there's that synergy of reduced cost, quality hires, and increased retention. So it's been exciting to see that come to life, Aaron.
Now let's take a minute to thank today's sponsor. Do you hire truck drivers in hard to fill areas, or do you need help creating efficiency in your recruiting department? You're not alone. With 50 plus years experience, Trucking Click specializes in data-driven strategies, industry-leading customer experience, and custom solutions that'll get you to your goal. Trucking Clicks is your go-to place for high-quality, direct leads at scale. Visit truckingclicks.com or call 512-982-0816 today.
So, Aaron, it's been exciting to see that quality and that retention and the reduction in cost for fleets. And when we talk about attracting like-minded talent that really takes care of others, there are some guests that you have interviewed on the podcast. One of the things that you say, Aaron, foundationally is drivers stay for people, not pay. Then Luke Wimberly, he said, if you can offer a driver a personal relationship, that's gold. And so in this generation of AI and all the technology that's evolving, the people relationships are still what move fleets, what move vendors, what move individuals forward in the most compelling way. And so what are some quotes from the Hire Truckers podcast that really resonate with you that you're like, these are guests that really understand that vision?
Yeah, so a few of those for me are Tracy Rushing with Ari Garrison. There's only two jobs at a carrier, driving the truck and supporting the driver. And so if you're not driving the truck, your job is to support the person who does. That's Tracy Rushing. And then another one is Chris Harbin. He's actually at Action Resources now. He just joined over there. And if the phone rings, answer it. You can't win without trust. Again, if the phone rings, answer it. You can't win without trust. That was a good quote from one of our guests. And then Lance Christensen, he's now at SCG Advertising. If you attract drivers for money, then they'll leave for money. Build culture, and they'll stay. And so that's one of those things, like when I was thinking through the retention thing you mentioned earlier, like there is an advertising strategy that leads to greater retention. And I think a lot of times fleets don't take that into account. And then the next quote that I remember from the show recently is, you're recruiting into a bucket full of holes unless you fix retention first. That's Sadie Church with Ashley now. The next one is, small changes, 1% better every day, add up to huge results. That was Luke Wimberly again with McElroy. And then Elisha Grayson, you don't know the answer until you ask.
It's so true. I love Alicia's example of you don't know the answer until you ask. And each of those quotes, Aaron, tells a powerful story. And it is that this industry is built on relationships. It's not just built on recruiting tactics. So when we talk about relationships, I have found in my personal life that the more growth that I have individually in my personal transformation and work on myself is the more positive impact I have on others and I bring more value to each of the relationships, both personal and professional. And so let's make a pivot into the personal transformation. You shared that you built Hire Truckers and Trucking Clicks, but first you rebuilt yourself. And I would venture to say you didn't rebuild yourself all the way to the point of success, but did you rebuild yourself a step at a time in these different areas you talked about? And how has that personal transformation played out along the way?
Yeah. So going back to the beginning of the show, just lost my job, 100 pounds overweight, don't really know what I'm going to do, but have a vision. And then, flash forward to today, I'm 95 pounds less than I was that day, almost 100 pounds, and maintaining and have good health habits. And then, the business just grown exponentially, and just our impact with the number of fleets we serve and number of drivers we bring on every month. It's just been great to see that continue to grow. And then, just being able to pour into people. Actually, like when people send me a message like, hey, you really encouraged me, like in this area, whether it's supporting them in their business venture, like goal, challenging them, and then it comes back around years later. Like I save all those, a lot of those messages in like our Craddock legacy folder. Cause I like on my phone, I have Craddock legacy. Cause I'm like, I might not leave my kids, a ton of money, because that's not really the goal. But what I'll leave is just a legacy of impact. And so, I had somebody reach out to me a couple of days ago and just say, hey man, like when you did this 3 years ago, it had an incredible impact on me. And I can't imagine it's so cool where I am today. And so, that's the focus. And the more I can get the focus off of Aaron and his goals and onto other people and their goals. So like position it around what are our clients' goals? Like not what do I want for them, but what do they want? And how can we make that happen? Even if it's not in our initial business plan. We're kind of known in the industry for doing things outside the box and differently when other people say they can't be done. And just a relentless focus on our team. And so part of the reason I show up, focus on the health stuff, focus on growing the business, becoming a different person is just I know I can bring more with me or and help other people, and that again, that's the rewarding part of the journey. Like if I look back in my career, different seasons of growth, it's just all the people I was able to bring with me, and just looking forward to continuing to have more and more impact on the trucking industry, on other industries too.
Absolutely. And having this front row seat to the growth of your business and to your personal growth, it's such a strong message for each of us professionally, whether you're leading a business, whether you're head of a department or you're an executive. Each of our ability to grow individually and keep leaning in and keep stretching and keep improving, then that in turn allows our business and our professional development to grow as well. The transformation, what I have found, truly starts from within. And that's what I hear from your story, Aaron. So let's make a pivot here. I want us to rethink what's possible. So you said that with a clear vision, with identity alignment, and relentless action, that you can accomplish anything. And so break that down for us, Aaron.
Yeah, so this is something I'm super passionate about. Like I think anybody, and I kind of know, like anytime, like I just got to speak at Driver Employment Council of America. Thank you to Jeremy Raymer for inviting me to speak there. And I did this talk, which is what this is framed around, about what is your why. And I think if you can have a compelling why and just dream. Like, think about what is possible, like in health and family and faith, in business and in your career. If you have a compelling why and just a big goal, like I'm all about just challenging people to, like one of my taglines is like dream bigger, think bigger. And that's what I challenge you to do as an audience. And again, I think 1 out of 1,000 people will actually do that. But like, what if you're that person that dreams bigger and thinks bigger and then just takes massive action towards it? Then like, is it easy? Like, no. But I kind of think like I like one of the quotes Tim Tebow says all the time is he wants to get to heaven tired. And so that's kind of how I think about it, is just, I'm going to work as hard, push as hard as I can. I'm also going to work hard at resting, like try to do that well, just do everything to the best of my ability. And it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I'm actually, so speaking, Jeremy Raymer had us go to this little bookstore by Ryan Holiday, like when they were in town for DECA, called The Painted Porch. And I picked up a book by Marcus Aurelius, and I've never read his stuff. And so in reading about that, like it's just reflections and like what's viewed as wisdom, like in the philosophy space. And he's viewed as a very wise person in a lot of areas. And the recurring theme is he's like, don't waste your time and do everything with intention. Like even these writings were not geared toward like meditations, is what I'm reading. Like they weren't geared towards an audience. It wasn't a book that he wrote with an audience. He was just writing stuff down, and it wasn't even really a journal. He was just trying to think through things deeply. And so what do we consume? Like, what do we spend our time on? What do we focus on? And just being relentless with that. And so I just encourage all of you just to think about, what is your why? You have to have a really compelling why. And then what can you attach to that why, a goal that's even bigger, like throw a 10x on whatever that vision is. And then just go for it. And then along the way, you just tell people about it and rally them around you and work together. Cause most goals you want to accomplish, like even my health goals weren't in isolation. Like if I want to have a 6-pack, I surround myself with a bunch of people with 6-packs. Or if I want to, lose the weight, like talk to somebody that's done it, have accountability. So yeah, I would love to be in your corner. If there's a big goal you have, whether it's health, faith, family, business, would love to be in your corner, support you, challenge you in any way I can. And then I'm going to keep trying to show up as the best version of me to add the maximum value to the driver recruitment space, technology space. And yeah, that's it.
So what I see, Aaron, in your story is you realigned your identity from those broken places. So what I see is none of us can outwork a broken identity. And what I see in your story is that when you aligned your identity with that right mindset, those right actions, new disciplines, relationships that help fuel that, you became a healthier leader, a faithful husband, a builder of people, and your actions started to match the vision that you had. And so there's been a multiplication result from that. And so what I see is that's the same in recruiting. So fleets that know who they are, they attract the right drivers for their fleet. Those that don't, they'll chase numbers, kind of like Sadie said, they're just kind of filling a bucket with holes in it. And so that sense of identity and culture, whether it's the individual or whether it's a business. And Aaron, like you said from Marcus Aurelius, it takes intention and pursuit. So as we wrap up here, what is one thing that you would challenge a listener on the other end that maybe is looking at their life and they're realizing my intentions are not lining up? I've got some of these broken places. It could be similar broken places that you have shared, Aaron, or it could be a different, my journey. I have different but broken places. So what would you say to those of us, which I think it's all of us, we've all got broken places that we're working on and want to lean in. what would you say in 1 or 2 sentences to encourage that person to take that next step?
Yeah, I would, first of all, I'd say we're all broken. I'm still broken. And the most important thing to me is God's grace, like through Jesus Christ. And I don't think I'll ever measure up. And that's this weird contrast. It's like, I know I'm covered by grace, but becoming refined and more like Christ. But yeah, so that's the first place I pivot from. But I'm friends with people that believe all different things, and I respect that. This is just what I believe is truth. And the second thing I would say is, yeah, just your life's worth it. Like, I know so many people that have been in really hard spaces. I think it was last month was like suicide prevention month. And yeah, just if you're in a hard place, and again, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but your life's worth it. Like, you're worth it. People care about you. And yeah, so I just would want to tell people they're worth it and it's okay. And everybody's got hard things they're going through or have been through. And then, yeah, and then set your sights on other people. And that can be one of the ways out of it. Like for me, it was very much, I realized that my selfishness is what led to a lot of those things. And so even today, like if I start feeling like the things I look for is restless, irritable, discontent, irritated, yeah, just think about serving people and just turn it around towards somebody else. And then your mindset can quickly shift. And then another thing I've heard recently is like, think about like, okay, you're having a bad day. Yeah. Like compared to what? Like there's always a worse day or a worse time and yeah. And then a lot of things that people think like, okay, I can never get sober. I can never improve this relationship, or I can never, you know, lose 100 pounds or build a X figure company. Like, yeah, you can. Like you just got to set that goal, that vision, tie it to a why, and then take massive action, and then surround yourself with other people that are doing it. And again, it's 4 bullet points. Like I've been really on the personal development journey for 6.5 years since the layoff was the catalyst. But yeah, what you see on social media of everybody, like the highlight reel, isn't reality. Like everybody's hurting in different areas, and then other people are in seasons with peace and serenity and joy. And that's kind of the season I find myself in, is just joy and peace and serenity, and wanting to pour into other people. So thank you for the opportunity to be on my show.
Yeah, those are powerful words, Aaron. And thank you for sharing your story and for showing that success is built on purpose. And when success is built on purpose, it can truly change an individual life, and it can truly change an industry.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you've been listening to the Hire Truckers podcast, powered by Trucking Clicks. Today's episode, What's Your Why? Smarter Driver Recruiting, reminds us that success isn't about scale. It's about substance. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it, leave a review, and subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Because smarter recruiting and better living start with quality over quantity.
Thank you for joining us today. Our goal with the Hire Truckers podcast is to provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to level up your recruiting game. If we added value, take a few seconds to share this with your network. Have a great week.